Hi, I'm Carignane, and I want to tell you a little story. A few years ago, I came to a point in life where things just weren't going how I wanted them to go. I wasn't being a great partner to my wife. I wasn't a great dad to my kids. I wasn't doing well at work. I was unfocused. I was unmotivated. Nothing seemed to be really going very well. So I sought the help of a professional. And through therapy sessions, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. It made sense. There was a family history, didn't seem that outlandish. So I started to learn a little bit more about anxiety and depression and read about the symptoms and the side effects and what a person can expect. And it made sense. But there was this other part that just wasn't adding up. I was still unfocused. I was still unmotivated. I was still unable to get things done or to initiate tasks even. I had a hard time advocating on my own behalf or even understanding my own needs. And so I thought, this can't be it. There must be something deeper. And so I started to do a little more reading and watch some videos online and tried to find articles that could explain what else could be at play here. And I came across this Twitter page. And I read the first post, and the page was ADHD is. And I read that first post thinking, this sounds an awful lot like me. And so I looked at another post. Sure enough, that one really resonated as well. And as I kept scrolling through this Twitter account and reading these accounts of this person's experience with ADHD, it became really clear that I probably had ADHD. So I went through the process of trying to get a diagnosis and worked with a clinician and filled out all the surveys, which I might add is very complicated and probably should be part of the test to see if people can actually get it done. But that's a story for another time. And I arrived at getting my diagnosis, and sure enough, yep, I had ADHD. And I found myself thinking, boy, this is a relief that I finally have a diagnosis. But I also felt, well, now what? Where do I go from here? I've suddenly learned this thing about myself that has influenced pretty much all of my life up until that point. And I was in my mid-30s, and I was left thinking, how do I unravel all this? How do I understand this? So I went looking for information about a person who had been similar to myself, someone who was diagnosed later in life, probably in their mid-30s, someone who all through school had done relatively well. I had been a good student. I never had any issues. The only real issue that I had was I would often get my assignments done really fast, and then I would talk and distract my classmates. But beyond that, where was that person? Where were those stories that were like my own that I could look to and think, okay, this is how a person handled those situations. This is how a person, made changes in their life to better function, to be a better partner and a father and whatever else. And I didn't find those stories that I went looking for. And so I decided that maybe the best course forward would be to become the person that I'd been looking for. And so I went through a course and I became a certified ADHD coach. And as a certified ADHD coach, I work with clients to help them with those challenges that they're facing, specifically the executive function challenges around productivity and focus and organization and self-awareness. Those are all things that people with ADHD struggle with. And besides that, I also learned in talking with people and family members and friends, there's a lot of misconceptions about ADHD. Even people who have someone in their family, a child or a parent or a friend who's close, a relative, they don't know everything there is to know about ADHD, and they don't recognize some of the common symptoms that are common with ADHD. And so the other side of this is sort of to try to demystify ADHD, to make it a little more understandable for people and to make it a little more approachable. So I had questions, and through these videos, I hope to answer some of those questions. Other questions will probably certainly arise, and we'll try to address those as well. And then I also want to share some of the tips and some of the tricks and some of the exercises that I use to work with clients who have ADHD as a certified ADHD coach. So I hope you'll join me for future videos. Subscribe, like these videos. I want to make sure that this is a great resource. This is a great way for people to get answers to questions that they might have. And together, I think there's a lot we can learn about ADHD in real life.